What's good, YouTube, man? Go react to some videos with y'all boys right quick. Let's get into it, man. Let's get into it. We about to watch this. We about to watch this one first.
What if Spider-Man No Way Home featured Tom Hardy's Venom crashing the final battle, Green Goblin wearing an Iron Man suit, and America Chavez responsible for blending universes instead of Doctor Strange? Not only that, but what if Spider-Man and Doctor Strange battled across time, appearing in key moments from all of the previous Spider-Man films? Or what if the film wasn't about multiverse chaos at all, but was instead a brutal, grounded showdown between Peter Parker and Kraven the Hunter? Well, believe it or not, all of those things nearly happened, as No Way Home went through several changes before landing on the version we got. To find out how we went from all of that to the movie we know, let's dive in and take a look at what could have been Spider-Man No Way Home. I talk about leaked scripts and Hollywood's untold behind-the-scenes stories all the time, but when your personal info leaks, it's not nearly as fun. That's where today's sponsor, NordVPN, comes in. NordVPN keeps your IP, your browsing data, and your personal info locked down with one click, keeping everything you do online private and secure. Just visit nordvpn.com/blockbusters to grab their exclusive deal. But here's the thing, NordVPN isn't just about privacy. Their Threat Protection Pro feature is like a built-in bodyguard for your devices. It blocks phishing sites, scam pop-ups, and even fake online stores designed to steal your money. It scans every file you download for malware and wipes out anything suspicious before it reaches your computer. They've also got the Dark Web Monitor, which constantly scans hacker forums and leak sites for your credentials, while running silently in the background. If your email or password ever shows up there, Nord instantly alerts you. And because NordVPN has a strict no logs policy, they never track or share what you do online. Combine that with their kill switch, which cuts your connection if the VPN drops, and your data is never exposed, not even for a second. Plus, since most streaming platforms lock their libraries by region, meaning the content you're looking for might be available somewhere else, just not in your country, NordVPN lets you change your virtual location with one click to be able to watch it from anywhere, all while keeping your connection private and secure. NordVPN can also be installed up to 10 devices with one account, and they've got 24/7 customer support ready to help anytime. When Marvel and Sony's partnership hit a breaking point in 2019, the future of Tom Holland's Spider-Man looked uncertain. The cross-studio deal that allowed the web-slinger to exist in the When Marvel and Sony's partnership hit a breaking point in 2019, the future of Tom Holland's Spider-Man looked uncertain. The cross-studio deal that allowed the web-slinger to exist in the MCU was built on an unusual arrangement. Sony owned the movie rights to Spider-Man, while Marvel produced the films, and were allowed to integrate Peter Parker into its cinematic universe. Though the unusual partnership had been successful for Homecoming and Far From Home, Marvel's parent company Disney felt that the deal was unfair, believing that they were doing most of the work responsible for the box office success. Disney wanted to renegotiate the terms of the deal, proposing a 50-50 co-financing split on future Spider-Man films, replacing the current terms of Disney getting full merchandising rights and 5% first dollar gross. Neither studio would budge, and talks broke down completely. By August, Sony called Disney's bluff and let the fallout go public, with headlines declaring that Spider-Man was leaving the MCU and would instead exist within Sony's own universe of Spider-Man characters that they own.
So that's why them boys did that Madam Web and Morbius and Venom and all that other stuff.
The rights to. Tom Holland would be hanging out with Venom, Morbius, and Madam Web instead of Doctor Strange, Ant-Man, and Captain Marvel. For a few tense weeks, it seemed Peter Parker's time with the Avengers was over. Shocked and devastated, Holland drove straight to the home of longtime Spider-Man producer Amy Pascal, where they discussed the future of the franchise, wondering, how do we do a film without Marvel? Does Peter Parker fall through a portal and then he's in Venom's world? Or do we do a Kraven the Hunter film? Frustrated and feeling...
Bro, I ain't gonna lie, bro. If we had a Kraven and Spider-Man film, even though I do not like the Kraven movie, Kraven is one of my favorite, like, Spider-Man villains besides Doc Ock and Green Goblin, bro. Like, I fuck with Venom, but I don't fuck with niggas. I don't fuck with that nigga like how everybody else does. Like, Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Kraven, top three in my opinion. I ain't gonna cap. Like, yeah. That shit fire.
Or fall through a portal and then he's in Venom's world? Or do we do a Kraven the Hunter film? Frustrated and feeling like his future as Spider-Man might be coming to an end, Holland decided to simply call Disney's CEO Bob Iger. and thank him personally for changing his life. But what started as a brief thank you soon turned into an emotional plea, as Holland poured out his feelings about the character and the future of the films. Holland's sincerity and passion.
At least he does care about Spider-Man, though. That's a good thing. My boy do care about Spidey.
As Holland poured out his feelings about the character and the future of the films, Holland's sincerity and passion compelled Iger to pick up the phone and call Sony leadership to find a solution that could keep Spider-Man in the MCU. Eventually, a deal was reportedly made that saw Disney co-financing 25% of the film in exchange for 25% of its profits. And finally, it was official. Spider-Man would remain in the MCU. Director John Watts pitched the first concept for Holland's Spider-Man 3, a grounded thriller inspired by the classic comic storyline Kraven's Last Hunt. In that arc, the mercenary Kraven the Hunter sets out to prove he can defeat Spider-Man and become a better version of him. In this version of the film, Kraven would hunt Peter after Mysterio revealed his identity at the end of Far From Home, forcing Peter to go on the run. It would have been darker, more intimate, and more psychological, far from the crowd-pleasing crossover spectacle that No Way Home eventually became. But Sony had other plans. The studio was already developing a standalone Kraven the Hunter film starring Aaron Taylor Johnson as a sympathetic anti-hero, which meant the character couldn't be used as the main villain for No Way Home. With Kraven off the table, the creative team started looking elsewhere for a big hook. Reflecting on the phenomenal success of the animated film Into the Spider-Verse, writers Chris McKenna and Eric Summers began experimenting with the idea of the multiverse. They envisioned a movie that combined various characters and villains from across Spider-Man's cinematic history. One of the biggest what-ifs from the early development of the film was the inclusion of Venom, who was already the center of his own universe, played by Tom Hardy. Hardy's version of the character was originally.
That's what them niggas did with Spider-Man 3, man. That nigga Venom was so popular, they put that nigga in there like, bro, you supposed to get the Vulture in Spider-Man 3. Just think how incredible that would have been, bro, before Tom Holland. Like, I fuck with cause that's my favorite Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland, the one with the Vulture. That shit fire. But just imagine if we had Toby and the Vulture going at it, bro, and they were supposed to have Black Cat. Like, bro, come on, man. Like, that would have been so fire, bro.
Across Spider-Man's cinematic history. One of the biggest what-ifs from the early development of the film was the inclusion of Venom, who was already the center of his own universe, played by Tom Hardy. Hardy's version of the character was originally planned to join the other villains during the film's climactic Statue of Liberty battle, though he would have been stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel and delayed, before making a grand entrance. However, the inclusion of Venom posed some narrative problems. In the final film, a failed spell brings forward multiple characters from different universes who had a history with Spider-Man. However, Hardy's Venom had never met any version of Spider-Man. To work around.
But the thing is, they tried to say that it was a big ass plot hole in that movie. They say that they know that nigga identity. Electro never knew that nigga's Peter Parker identity, bro. It was only Doc Ock, Green Goblin, Sandman, and that's it. Yeah, that's it. And Jake Gyllenhaal, but that nigga died. But they could have brought that nigga back too. Like, they could have brought Jake Gyllenhaal back.
With Spider-Man. However, Hardy's Venom had never met any version of Spider-Man. To work around this, the writers envisioned that Venom's symbiote carried latent awareness of other universes, meaning that though Tom Hardy's version of the character had never met Spider-Man, it shared the memories of the symbiote that battled Tobey Maguire in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3.
I heard about that, and I did not like that idea. I think that was going to be low-key kind of weird. Like, nah.
Spider-Man, it shared the memories of the symbiote that battled Tobey Maguire in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 3. However, Venom's inclusion in the film's overall narrative never materialized, with his role in the multiversal chaos instead reduced to the post-credit scene in Venom 2, where he's warped to the MCU, and a post-credit scene in No Way Home, where he's warped back, after leaving a small piece of the symbiote behind, teasing where Spider-Man's story might go next, with Holland finally donning the black suit.
I hope they put my boy in Secret Wars. My boy gonna get that suit in Battle World like how he did in the comics. But I doubt they gonna do that. I think they probably just gonna do the original route how they did in the '90s show with Spectacular and the 2000s Sam Raimi shit with him getting it from like a ghoul substance and land of the earth and all that. I think they just go do something like that, and they go have him angry and emo.
The symbiote behind, teasing where Spider-Man's story might go next, with Holland finally donning the black suit. But Venom wasn't the only major villain cut from earlier drafts. The original plan was to bring back every major antagonist from past Spider-Man films, including Paul Giamatti's Rhino from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio from Far From Home. In this version, Mysterio would have gone head-to-head with Doctor Strange in a mind-bending cosmic showdown, a finale that aimed to surpass Far From Home's visual spectacle by merging Mysterio's illusion-based chaos with Strange's reality-warping sorcery. Michael Keaton's Vulture was also set to return.
But that would have been a lot of CGI. Them niggas were not about to pay for all that CGI, because Marvel CGI, they just... I'll say for like the past like six to seven films. No Way Home was alright. It was decent in CGI, but it could have been better. But like the CGI was not great, bro.
With Peter turning to him for help, tracking down, capturing, and rehabilitating the multiverse villains brought into their world. Vulture's wingsuit also would have been made from junkyard scraps. With all these villains in the mix, the initial aim was for all of them to have a rough equal presence in the story, with no single villain taking a central stage as a main antagonist. But once the team began trimming the number of returning characters, they realized Norman Osborn had to step into that central position. Dafoe's chilling, unhinged performance and his tense relationship with Peter Parker became the emotional core of the film. The creative team initially wanted to redesign all of the returning rogues, giving them updated or MCU-fied looks to distinguish them from their original appearances. Green Goblin was imagined in a suit of Iron Man-style armor, both as a way to modernize his tech and to psychologically torment Peter, reminding him of Tony Stark's death. Doc Ock and Lizard were also planned to...
This shit is fire, because this is actually comic accurate like hell. Like, it's like the 90s show and fucking, I can't say the new Spider-Man show, but I think they gonna have bro in this, because how they got him in, My Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man bro is very comic accurate. So I think they gonna have him in this comic accurate suit. So, yeah. I mess with Doc Ock, man. That's my all-time favorite Spider-Man villain. Like, Doc Ock is just that guy, you know? Look at that goat, man.
Torment Peter, reminding him of Tony Stark's death. Doc Ock and Lizard were also planned to have more comic-accurate designs, but in the end, Kevin Feige pushed to preserve their original appearance and cash in on nostalgia. However, there was one exception, Electro. Jamie Foxx only agreed to return if he didn't have to be blue, and wanted the character to be a little more hip. Still,
that's what made it better, though, Cal, because if y'all read the comics, man, Electro was not like that, bro. This nigga had a goofy ass mask and a costume.
Still, during one key moment when electricity surges through him, he briefly takes on the classic look from the...
I'm about to show y'all, boys. Right now. Spider-Man, Electro, 1960s comic. Like, this Electro right here. This the Electro I know. This the nigga I know right here. And the nigga from the I know him from the game. That's not even an accurate Electro. I think it's from that. It's one nigga that looked just like this in a game, bro. I just can't remember, cause it wasn't even accurate. It was like this nigga had a sister and all types of shit. But that's not Electro, bro. That's not Electro. But that right there, I paused it at the right time, cause they actually did the comic thing right there. That shit fire. I ain't gonna lie.
The comics, complete with the star-shaped lightning.
I did like how they changed his outfit, because the blue shit was not. That shit was not it. But yeah, that's how my nigga that show look right there.
Mask. It also wasn't just going to be Andrew, Toby, and their villains finding themselves in the MCU. Several other legacy characters from the various Spider-Man films almost joined them too. Early drafts included appearances from Sally Fields as Aunt May and Kirsten Dunst as Mary Jane Watson, but they were ultimately cut due to fears they would overcrowd the film. Beyond just Spider-Man characters, Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock also originally had a much larger role. Cox revealed he even shot a very tongue-in-cheek scene with Jon Favreau's Happy Hogan. This scene featured a meta joke where Happy says, "I'm a little foggy on how this happened," referencing Favreau's role as Foggy Nelson in the 2003 Daredevil film. One particularly wild sequence that was originally planned would have seen Doctor Strange and Spider-Man's chase through the mirror dimension go even further, across the multiverse itself. McKenna described a sequence where Peter and Strange would battle through iconic moments from the previous Spider-Man films, from different perspectives and orientations. That chase would have taken them through everything from the wrestling ring where Bonesaw McGraw fought Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker, to Gwen Stacy's tragic clock tower fall in Amazing Spider-Man 2, and even to the church where Eddie Brock bonded with the symbiote in Spider-Man 3. It would have been a dizzying roller coaster ride through Spider-Man's cinematic legacy, but the complexity and cost of rendering so many different universes proved too ambitious, and the idea was shelved. One of the more significant changes from the final film was the fact that America Chavez was originally supposed to appear, after having already been introduced to audiences in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was originally planned to come out before No Way Home. Not only that, but her role wasn't just a quick appearance. She was central to the film's narrative, and was the one responsible for bringing Tobey and Andrew's Spider-Man into the story. In this version, America is apprenticed to Doctor Strange, and desperate to prove herself. After Strange declines Peter's pleas for help, America would have offered to perform the spell herself, but her inexperience causes it to go horribly wrong. When May dies, America would then bring in Maguire and Garfield as emotional support and guidance, as they had both suffered similar loss and grief in their journeys as Spider-Man. But when COVID-19 delays caused Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness to be pushed back, the release schedule flipped. Suddenly, No Way Home would release before Doctor Strange, so America Chavez had to be cut from the script, since she was introduced in Doctor Strange, which was now coming out after. With her role gone, the writers transferred her magical duties to Ned, with him inheriting the sling ring and discovering the power to open portals to other universes. The significant change to the narrative structure also reshaped how Tobey and Andrew entered the story. Initially, the writers envisioned the two arriving through portals on a rainy rooftop after May's death, during an emotional low point for Holland's Peter Parker.
I ain't gonna lie, that shit would have been fire. Look at that, look at that, look at my goats. Look at my goats. Look at my goats. Spider-Man is my boy, man. I got a Spider-Man poster right here on my wall. That's my guy. I fuck with it.
However, McKenna found fan art online that predicted that exact entrance they had planned. This caused a brief panic as the team realized they couldn't just do something that had been so easily predicted by fans. They had to do
Man, I don't think niggas would have been mad though, to be honest, because it's like, nigga, it's Toby and Andrew. It's like, bro, it's Toby and Andrew. The fuck you expect? Of course, we want them niggas in the film. It's Toby Maguire and Andrew Garfield. And they robbed my boy Andrew out of his third film. So it's like, yeah, get my boy a redemption arc, you know? Like, get my boy a redemption arc, man.
something fans weren't expecting. So instead, they moved the introduction of the other Spider-Man to Ned's grandmother's apartment in Queens, which they felt no one would predict. This shifted this massive reveal from taking place during an emotionally resonant scene to being more of an unexpected comedic scene. Spider-Man No Way Home became something far bigger than anyone at Marvel or Sony first imagined, a once-in-a-generation crossover that turned cinematic nostalgia into an emotional event. Through countless rewrites,
Nah, facts, you had to be there to see that shit, bro. Like, when No Way Home dropped, man. I remember that shit like yesterday, bro. Like, when No Way Home and Across the Spider-Verse had dropped. Like, I'm ready for Beyond the Spider-Verse. I ain't gonna cap to y'all boys. Beyond the Spider-Verse about to break barriers with the Spider-Man shit. I low-key think that Spider-Man is the biggest superhero besides Superman. No cap. I think he's more popular than Batman. No cap. Besides Superman, I think Spider-Man is the most popular hero, bro. Like, no cap, bro. Everybody knows they love Spider-Man. Like, this nigga super relatable, bro. Like, everybody fucks with Spidey, man. But we're gonna watch another video right quick. Watch a video or something. Alright, we might as well watch this.
What is going on, Cosmic Crew? Thanks for stopping by the channel today. We have a ton of news to go over today about Avengers Doomsday and also the future of the MCU. We have a great report actually coming from somebody who has worked on Avengers Doomsday that I think is going to get fans a lot more excited for this movie. We have some drama to go over when it comes to She-Hulk. It looks like not only the actress's future, but the character's future in the MCU is quite uncertain right now. And then we have some awesome news about Deadpool and Wolverine. So let's get into it. But if you're new and you love Marvel, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. We talk about Marvel every single day. So we're going to start off with She-Hulk, because this seems to be kind of a big conversation right now. It's actually been quite a big conversation for a while since the whole Jimmy Kimmel incident happened. A lot of actors spoke out about that. Tatiana Maslany was one of them. And she basically told everybody to boycott Disney and unsubscribe from Disney Plus, which if you're Disney and Disney owns Marvel, you could see how you don't really want that from one of your actresses. So there was already quite a bit of a debate of what was going to happen with her and her character already, but now we have a new report from insider My Time to Shine Hello. It seems like the situation kind of has a twist. Might not have been what we thought it was going to be. She states, Marvel Studios wanted to use She-Hulk in a big way for Avengers Secret Wars. The problem is that Tatiana Maslany has no interest in working for Disney. If they're unable to convince her to return, the options are to remove the character altogether or recast the role. So right away, I'd like to know what you think about this. Would you like She-Hulk to remain in the MCU even if they have to recast her, or would you like the character to go away altogether? Let me know in the comments. Now, this does seem to be kind of what she was letting out when she posted to social media. She obviously didn't like what Disney was doing, and then she said unsubscribe to Disney Plus. I mean, it does kind of seem like she is upset with Disney and might not care about the repercussions. She might not have thought that she had a future with Marvel. We don't know if she's in Avengers Doomsday. We've heard reports that she is, but we've also seen leaked concept art of her being in Avengers Secret Wars. So the fact that My Time to Shine Hello was reporting that Marvel had big plans for her in Secret Wars, that seemingly checks out because we saw that picture of her, Hulk, and Scar. And in the background, it looked like there were many different Hulks. So it looked like we were kind of going to see a Greenland situation where we had a part of Battleworld that consisted of like a bunch of different Hulks, and not even just people, but perhaps animals and creatures as well. So clearly something pretty big was planned there. But considering she told people to unsubscribe from Disney Plus and boycott Disney, it does seem like she doesn't want to return to Disney.
She about to get blackballed like crazy.
It seems like she doesn't want to return to Disney, and Disney's probably pretty frustrated with her as well. I've seen some people talk about her contract. I don't think when she did She-Hulk, she signed a contract to be in Avengers Secret Wars and or Avengers Doomsday. They're probably trying to do a new contract with her. So yeah, this is probably negotiations right now, and it looks like they might remove the character altogether. So she might not have that big of a role in Secret Wars, or I'm sorry, in Avengers Doomsday, but in Avengers Secret Wars, it sounds like she was going to have a decent sized role. I think we're going to get even more people in Avengers Secret Wars than Doomsday. So the main characters that are going to be focused on, I can't imagine.
I don't keep thinking that, I think they already start shooting for it. Cause I know they already started shooting for Brand New Day. I don't know. They probably didn't start shooting yet. But they could always do reshoots. You dig? You know, they always do reshots.
Imagine She-Hulk was going to be one of them. Regular Hulk, yes, and she might be by his side, sure. But as far as main roles, I don't think this should affect the movie too much. They can recast. I don't think that's really that big of an issue, or they can remove it altogether. But again, let me know what you think. Now, I thought this was really cool news. In a recent interview speaking to Young Indie Chroniclers, Gavin Boquette, I believe that's how you pronounce his name, who is the production designer for Marvel's Avengers Doomsday, says that the film used mostly real sets rather than blue screens, which I am totally here for.
That's better.
I am all for this.
I like how they did with the Spider-Man Brand New Day shit, and how they had my boy like with Andrew, he's really actually swinging. Like, I fuck with it. I love when they do that type of shit, bro. For real, for real.
I think it typically ends up looking a lot better. And if you think about kind of some of the past films that were pretty recent with Marvel
Yeah,
Studios, we've had
that's why I
some
say the CG.
CGI
Yeah, I was about to say.
bugs, mess ups, whatever you want to call it, just hasn't looked the best. And it's really, really weird because we're in 2025, almost 2026. You
No
would
fact.
think they'd have a lock
Like, bro, how the CGI from 2009, 2008, 2010, all them years looks better than the CGI now. It's like, bro, what the hell? What the fuck? It's like, bro, come on, man.
really weird because we're in 2025, almost 2026. You would think they'd have a lock on CGI already. Like they've locked it down how to do it,
No
but we
facts.
don't know what goes on behind the scenes. But this is what Gavin Bouquet said. The default situation before us was let's put a blue screen out there. While we had physical backings for 80% of the interior sets, so it was all in camera. And then it was all in camera, and in the end, that's as much a visual choice as a money choice. If they don't have to change the exterior, so wherever we could, we brought that bit of experience in to adjust those things rather than presuming you can always add it in with visual effects. So basically, what he is saying is if they could do it practically, they did it practically. And yes, it was a money choice as well, because if you can do it practically, then you don't have to pay more for CGI and special effects, which totally makes sense. And this is a huge movie. I'm sure they're trying to save money where they can, but also I do think, like I mentioned, practical effects typically work better when it comes to movies like Marvel movies. So I'm excited for that. I think the movie visually is going to look amazing. Daniel RPK actually reported that he has heard this is going to be the best looking Marvel movie. It's going to be better looking than Infinity War and Endgame, which is a pretty big thing. Now, when it comes to news about Deadpool and Wolverine, it's big
doubt
news, but I'm not sure if it's going to shock everybody. We'll get to that in just a bit, but first, the holidays are coming up, and if you are looking for a truly incredible, truly unique, and memorable gift for your family, our examples and from Kitchen and Bar, in my obviously supporting that get for holiday season, percent off your next gift. Now, Forbes, who obviously is a very trusted outlet and magazine as well, Forbes, who obviously is a very trusted outlet and magazine as well, Forbes is now reporting that Deadpool and Wolverine are expected to star in the MCU's next two kid-friendly Avengers movies. So Avengers Doomsday and Avengers Secret Wars. Now, the announcement or the confirmation...
I mean, I already had a feeling the boys will be in the next few movies because they brought them in the MCU, so it's like, might as well cash in on them, especially while Wolverine is popular now and Deadpool's been popular since the first Deadpool. And I watched the first Deadpool with my cousin when I was last year. That's the first time I watched Deadpool because I watched the first two. I watched the first two movies so I could get ready for the third one. So yeah, I can't really remember what happened, but it was a funny movie. It was a bunch of ass jokes though. I don't know why they have a bunch of ass jokes in Deadpool, but it is Deadpool though, so I do expect that.
Whatever you want to call this, that they're going to appear in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars doesn't come as that big of a surprise.
They had that shit in Deadpool Wolverine too when that nigga had this nigga had the fucking TVA agent smacked his ass. Like, bro, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
Whatever you want to call this, that they're going to appear in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars doesn't come as that big of a surprise. But what's interesting is they do this whole article, and the article is titled Deadpool and Wolverine cost $500 million, but did it make a profit? It made a profit.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It talks about how much they split with the theaters and everything like that. But basically, and here's the important part, and here's the part that makes the most sense when it comes to Disney and Marvel and Deadpool and Wolverine and Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars. This was the only movie Marvel has had recently to hit over $1 billion. And I think more importantly, it actually set up more of what we're going to see in Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars than really any other movie. Like in The Void, we had a lot of multiversal aspects. We had characters from a bunch of different universes.
You know what I would love to see, bro? I would love to see another Blade movie. I would love to see X-23 have her own movie, and I would love to see a Gambit movie. I fuck with Gambit. And I would love to see my boy. I love to see them boys do another Fantastic Four movie with Chris Evans. I think that's his name. Yeah, bro. Cause I fuck with that Fantastic Four. Not the. I think they did like two versions of it. They did one recently. I know that. I didn't finish watching that one, but it was cool. But I might do a reaction to it because I low-key forgot what happened. I might do a reaction to that movie. But yeah, bro, I would love an X-23 movie. I would love another. Well, we got too many Wolverine movies right now. I would love a Gambit movie. I would love a Blade movie, like to wrap up his whole, story. And Electra, man, she already had her own movie, but yeah, she would be cool. She would be cool.
And I think the Void is going to be a big part of Doomsday and Secret Wars as well. So this, and Kevin Feige, he said, on a scale of how important this movie is going to be, I think he said it was like an 8 or a 9. I don't remember exactly. It was one of those two. And then people were like, well, how exactly was it that important? It didn't really seem to connect to the overall story. No, it absolutely did, because of the multiversal aspects to it and because of the Void. So the movie was huge for setting up Avengers Doomsday. And a lot of the characters are already confirmed to be returning. So Gambit's confirmed to be returning. So we obviously know that Deadpool and Wolverine are going to be returning because they're going to do this till they're 90. Yeah. Both of them. I would fully expect that. But the fact that these two are seemingly the most popular right now, with the exception of Spider-Man, it obviously makes sense to bring back your kind of heaviest hitters. Again, with the exception of Spider-Man. Because their movie was, well, at least it performed amazingly. Most people thought it was amazing. I thought it was amazing. One of my all-time favorite MCU movies at this point in time, even if the story lacks a little bit. I just thought it was funny, action-packed, and did have heartfelt moments. So to have these two return in Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars just makes sense. Now Forbes is saying they're expected to show up. I think it's kind of funny coming from Forbes. But expect things like this to happen. Expect these big characters to return. And speaking of, Daniel RPK also recently hinted that Thanos is going to be returning. He said that Josh Brolin can be expected to return in Avengers Doomsday. He actually specifically said, when Inside Fandom posted Josh Brolin in 2025 films, and they posted a list of the films he was in, Daniel RPK said, and soon in Avengers. We're assuming Avengers Doomsday, and of course, Avengers Secret Wars as well, if he survives. They could be using him to show how strong Doom is, and Doom could kill him pretty quickly, or maybe not quickly, maybe at the end. But there's a chance he could die to Doom in Avengers Doomsday, so he might not make it to Secret Wars, but it sounds like he's going to be in Doomsday. We've heard rumors that he's actually going to be King Thanos, which I think would be really cool. He could be working for Doom. The Cabal is in Secret Wars in the comics. They're not working for Doom in the comics, and that actually does lead to that infamous panel of Doom ripping out Thanos' skeleton, which I really do hope we get, but we'll see. So, like I said, a lot of big news today. Let me know what you think about all of it, and let me know how excited you are for Avengers Doomsday. Let me know in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the latest Marvel news. And you can also find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof. What is going on?
Yeah, I fuck with that. Let's stay at the screen, man. I'm out of this bitch.